I think there are very few islands in Europe that provide this level of clear blue water and the historical significance of submarine tunnels like the one I'm standing right in front of. It's an island that is one of many in Croatia, but it's about 2 hours away from the nearest city, and if you take a ferry, it would make it really worth your while to come all the way out here. It's lesser populated than a lot of the most touristy and popular destinations in Croatia, but in my opinion, I think this might be the hidden gem that Croatia has to offer, and if you get the chance, I don't know why people aren't coming here. Welcome to the incredible, beautiful, historic island of Vis Croatia. Guys, here from a boat, a ferry boat, here in Split, Croatia. We've left Dubrovnik and we've come to this beautiful city just a few hours north of Dubrovnik called Split. You can see the entire cityscape right behind me, but we're actually going to explore Split another time later on during this trip. Today what we're doing is actually we're leaving Split to go to an island, and for the next few days I'm going to be on a Croatian island enjoying the beautiful scenery that it has to offer. I'm really excited because this island has some of the most incredible views that Croatia has to offer, but in order to get to the island we have to take about a 2-hour ferry. So the journey on the Adriatic Sea begins now. Well, since we've got 2 hours to kill, I thought it would be a perfect time for me to give you a little boat tour, a little ship tour of the ferry here. Surprisingly, I thought it was going to be a pretty small ship, but it's actually a really, really big boat. So let's see what's on offer here. The Pope was here. I'm not sure what the Pope was doing on an island in Croatia, but maybe he needed a break from his papal duties. The way the ferry is organized, you have basically this main area where everybody sits down. That's pretty typical of every ferry, but then you've got a few smaller rooms like a kid's room right here, and you've got a little like private lounge area, and these aren't really private. If you just come here and get here early, you can actually have it to yourself. So if you do come on this ferry, I would probably say try and find a place that's comfortable for you. The ferry's a pretty big place anyway, so you're not going to really struggle to get anything you like. And for some reason, there's a trolley car here. I don't know what it's doing, but maybe I can use it for shopping when I get to the island. And 2 hours later, we've made it to the island of Vis. Now, many of you might be wondering why, out of all the hundreds of islands that Croatia has, why choose to come to Vis? And the answer is, honestly, Croatia's islands are incredible, and every island has its own vibe and its own culture, and each island of Croatia is incredible in its own way. But Vis has a few things that make it pretty special. First thing is that Mamma Mia was actually filmed here. The old town that I'm currently walking through, this is the place where Mamma Mia was filmed. So yes, some of the parts were filmed in Greece, but a lot of it was also filmed right here on the island of Vis here in Croatia. So if you are a big Mamma Mia fan, then this is a place that you definitely want to come to. The second reason that I really wanted to come to Vis is because there are some incredible historical places. Vis was a very important historical center, especially during the Yugoslav times, and we're going to see more of that later today and in the upcoming video. And finally, well, it just has some incredible beaches, and honestly that can be said for most of Croatia's islands, but Vis has some pretty incredible beaches as well. And you've got little cute puppies like that one right there. But with that said, this is a very incredible island. It is a little bit sort of away from the mainland. It takes about 2 hours to get here, as I mentioned, by ferry, which means that not as many people come here. It's a little it's a little protected from the other tourism that other islands like Hvar face, simply because they're so much closer to Dubrovnik and Split, which is, again, another reason why I decided to come to Vis. But with all of those great reasons, it's finally time for us to actually see this island, and the best way to do so is by a scooter. Hi!
Hello!
Can I rent one of the motorcycles?
Of course, if you have a driving license.
Yes, I do.
Oh,
Alright, motorcycle secured. We're on our way now to start exploring this island. Well, on the map it actually looked a lot longer, but 10 minutes later, we're already at the farthest point we're going to be exploring today. It makes me wonder, maybe this island is smaller than I expected. But for the great reveal and the great surprise, we've got to start walking down here. The motorcycle agency was pretty strict. They said you can only stay on the pavement on the main roads. So you can see this is the pavement and it ends right here. So I've had to park the motorcycle here. We've got no choice for the rest of the day, and we're gonna go ahead and climb and keep walking and see what more we can explore. Whew. Oh my goodness. Wow. Now, I mentioned just now that one of the reasons I chose Vis is because of how much history there is in this place, specifically when it came to the time of Yugoslavia. And this right here is one of those really incredible places. This is a cannon bunker of the Yugoslav National Army, and it was used by the Yugoslav National Army for many, many years. Now what's interesting is this has been completely abandoned, and I tried to walk back down there. It basically goes all black, so I don't know where it actually goes, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be adventurous enough to try and see where that ends up going. But you can tell right around me, this used to be a bunker. Like, this is where Yugoslav soldiers used to come in here and train and make sure and protect this island. This was a very important island because at the time, Tito had actually moved the highest headquarters of the entire Yugoslav National Army to this island, and we're gonna actually see where Tito hung out and where his place was in the next video. But for average soldiers who were protecting this island and protecting it from the foreign invaders at the time, this is the type of bunker that they would be inside. You can see that door, that would lead you into the wilderness of the wild of Vis, but right inside here, it's just another cannon bunker for the Yugoslav National Army. You can see all these old metal, oh my gosh, it's completely loose. All these old metal bolts that are just falling apart. Who knows how many soldiers worked here, how many soldiers manned this base here and protected Tito and the highest command of the Yugoslav National Army right inside these bunkers. It's almost surreal to walk through here all by myself, and in some ways, a little bit scary. That has got to be one of the eeriest places I've ever been to. It's just pitch dark in there and there's nobody there, and all you have are the remains and ruins of what was a national army, which today literally no longer exists. Yugoslavia doesn't exist, and you walk in there and it's weird, it's eerie, it's almost scary also. But let's go on, let's keep walking, and let's keep adventuring around the island of Vis. It's been a long time since I've seen water that blue, but that is crystal clear. I mean, I know Croatia is famous for its incredibly blue water, and so is a lot of, you know, the Adriatic Sea, but still, every time I see this here in the Adriatic, it continues to surprise me. That color, that's magical. That is purely divine. Just now what we had seen was a cannon bunker of the Yugoslav National Army. It was designed to protect against invaders who were coming in, trying to attack the headquarters of the very top command of the Yugoslav National Army. But attacks weren't just from the land. They were gonna also come from the sea, which is why Tito prepared everything. He even had a submarine bunker inside here. This is a real Yugoslav submarine base, and to be fair, all across the Balkans you'll find a bunch of these. You can find one in Montenegro, you can find them all across Croatia, and these are very, very common. This is where the Yugoslav National Army would usually hide their submarines. First, because it's so deep inside it's really hard to see, and second, from satellite images at least, it's hidden in this cove You wouldn't know it unless you come here and seen the submarines yourself. So it was basically undetectable by foreign and Western forces, which is why they focused so much energy into building this incredible submarine tunnel. But I can't believe I'm actually here right in front of this submarine tunnel. We've got to go inside and check it out because this is crazy. Now, who would have known that a submarine base would have such beautiful, clear blue water? It honestly is some of the most beautiful water that I've seen everywhere around here in the Adriatic. This is such a cool place to visit, but at the same time, it's such an eerie place to visit. I mean, right in this water, I'd come down here to the actual level of the water, and right in this water, submarines would be parked here, waiting to go out to war to whoever came through. But now it's just this completely abandoned, empty cylinder of concrete. And as I'm speaking, it's so quiet here that my voice just echoes across all the way because it's just built into the side of this beach here. But I'm surprised by how deep the water is, but then again, they needed to park submarines here, so they had to make the water sufficiently deep so that the submarines would be hidden under the water. And as you're walking along here, you can see how deep the water actually is. Now, swimming here is absolutely prohibited. They don't allow you to sort of dive in and swim into the water, and I think that's also for good reason, just because the foundations of this place, we're not exactly sure how stable it is, and also it is probably like, you know, dirty water that's sort of flushed in here for so many decades after these submarines were used. This base sort of stopped only being used as a submarine base late into the Yugoslav times. Mainly it was used to park these submarines during the World War II era. This view, it's crazy. I never would expect to be able to see something like this here in Croatia. You almost forget that you're in Croatia. You feel like you're in an old bunker in Albania or something like that, but no, Croatia very much lived through the old Yugoslav times, and the remnants are right here in Vis. You can see the old sort of rocks lined up every few meters. In the past, sort of moored these submarines to the actual walkway so that, you know, the soldiers could come and fix them and get onto the submarines and get off of them. It's so eerie. It's really, really just such a weird feeling being here. You can roughly get an estimate now as to how deep that water is. I don't know if you can see some of the rocks in there, but they are at least 3-4 meters deep, maybe even 5 or 6 meters. That's really, really deep into that water, so that submarines could come here and dock. Now, all these Yugoslav bases, the submarine base and the cannon bunker that we've just seen, are all located on the northeastern side of the island. And we're so far northeast that this little spit of land, this island right here, marks sort of the northeasternmost point of all of Vis, right here. And the crazy part is, we've got two sort of parts of the Adriatic Sea meeting right here in the middle, crashing on these rocks. And that's where this island exists. It's surreal how beautiful this place is, but also so extremely windy. But when the sun comes out like it is right now, the color of that water, I think you can see that for yourself. That is got to be one of the most beautiful Adriatic blues you've ever seen in your life. Made it back to the bike. Time for us to head back on the road. And a few minutes later on the motorcycle, we are pretty close actually to the town of Vis, where the ferry dropped us off. In fact, you can see the town is right there, right behind me. But this little area here is called Prirovo. It is a peninsula that sort of juts out from Vis, and actually on the way into the town when you're on the ferry, you'll actually see this peninsula quite clearly. Now, what's really interesting about this peninsula is that first off, it used to have a Roman theater. When it was part of the Roman Empire, this place used to be the home of an amphitheater, and they would build one right on top of this peninsula, which honestly is a very Roman thing to do. But once that theater became a bunch of ruins, what then happened is that they converted this into something new, which is what stands today. It's relatively new, but this is a Franciscan monastery, and there's also a Franciscan church right next to it. It's a big monastery complex with, I think, roots dating back to the 1700s, but to this day it is still a living church. And in fact, there's a cemetery in the back, and I've seen people come and go from the local community here, sort of paying their respects to the people who have passed away. Additionally, I just went inside the church just now and I wanted to film, but just when I was about to film, mass started, and literally a lot of people from here who live here in Vis show up. They have a monk who was trained at the monastery right there, and he's sort of leading the prayer, and they're actually still going on right now. Now, the plan was that this place is perfect because the water is crystal clear blue. The water here is incredibly blue, and you can probably see that when you're entering Vis from the ferry. The water around this peninsula is incredible. However, the sun isn't out, and when the sun's not out here in Croatia, it can still get pretty cold. Like, I am shivering right now because it's like 19 degrees, 20 degrees, and okay, so literally the sun just came out right now, but it's about to go away because the clouds are going to cover it up. And once the clouds cover the sun up, it gets really chilly. There's an incredible beach on the other side of this church, on the south side of the peninsula, that is perfect to go swimming in. But with this temperature, I'm not sure if I'm ready to go into the Adriatic Sea if I'm already cold when I'm outside, much less colder when it's inside. So I think we're just gonna hang out and we're gonna chill around here. And once the mass is over, I think I'm gonna head inside the church, just to take a better look inside. Looks like they ended up closing the church right after mass was over. So I'm never gonna show you what's on the inside. But it's still a beautiful place. And it is getting colder, which is why I put on a sweater. I mean, it's actually like 18 degrees now, 17 degrees. It's getting colder every second of the day as the sun gets lower and lower in the sky. But I think we're gonna just wait here and chill for the beautiful sunset that's about to happen all over Vis. I think I just had one of the best dinners ever. There's this place near the end of town called Konoba Kantun. They specialize in classic Dalmatian foods, and I had this thing called a pastisade. It's a beef stew in Croatia. One of the best things I've ever had in a very long time. But this is day one here in Vis. It is dark now, you can barely see my face, but what an incredible day it's been so far here in this island. I really found the history of this place really fascinating, especially the Yugoslav things that we saw today. But there's so much more to this island. Like, we barely scratched the surface, and fortunately the weather has not been the most cooperative today. But with that said, there's going to be some incredible sort of beaches we're going to see tomorrow. The food has been amazing, literally just course after course after course of just incredible food at that place earlier. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. If you guys enjoyed this video, please definitely give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more food and travel videos. We've got more coming here from Vis and also Croatia in general, so make sure to stay tuned, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye guys.